Hi, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of WFLL Writing Feels Like Love. Oh my gosh, it feels so weird to say it out loud because in the previous episode, I don't think I actually named it. I didn't name what it was, I just named the purpose of this podcast. And yeah, finally putting words to this feeling and this, I guess, manifestation of vulnerability and love is a lot, but I'm glad. I'm glad that I can actually say it. Yeah, welcome to Writing Feels Like Love. So, I have mentioned that in my adolescent years, I developed this habit of writing letters to my future self as a means to help and save myself from adolescent puberty type life and trauma. I won't even lie, it was quite traumatic being in high school. And this, what started as just a means of expression, has become my solace, my safe space, where I have done it for now over 10 years. I've done it for 12 years. I have records of me writing about lost love, or at least infatuation back then, lost infatuation, and growing from it. And now I'm 28, stepping closer to 29, and we are still doing it. Our words are still saving us from ourselves. And by us, I mean Fumi, which is the future version of myself, which can be tomorrow's version, 2 weeks version, 3 years version, or even yesterday's version, and even this version, which is great. So, the letter that I'd like to open, I'm going to pick these letters at random. Let me do a little bit of paper ASMR. Doesn't that sound delicious? So I picked the letters at random. It would actually make more sense to go in a formal timeline, but the way that I've been consuming these letters are I just pick a random one from the box and I read it, and somehow always it resonates. Maybe I've been having the same problem for many years, but whatever the message is, whatever time I was in back then still resonates with me now, and those words still soothe till this day, or till that moment when I read them. So I'll follow the same construct where I just pick a letter at random and read it, and hopefully it resonates with you. Very simple. Ah, gosh. Okay. This one is going to bring up a lot of feelings. If you didn't hear my previous episode 1, I spoke about the reason that brought me to podcasting, or at least sharing my thoughts through this medium, was losing my dad and grieving and going through the motions of that and needing an outlet. And it was also, I lost my dad in 2019, so I had experienced peak grief during lockdown, which was a blessing actually, because it's something that I wish I had right now, where I have no choice but to dive deeper into myself. And so this letter that I've picked up now from this random pile of letters is about my dad. It's a letter to my dad. It's not even to Fumi, which is a change of pace, I guess. Okay. I dated this 20th of October 2021, which was the day he passed away, 2 years after the day he passed away. 2 years after he passed away, but yeah, on that day. It goes, Dad, these last 2 years have been a wild haze, and I've been trying my very best to tiptoe around the memories of you. I don't want to feel too hard for fear of not being able to get back from that pit of sadness. I miss you so much, especially on days like these, because everyone misses you, and those feelings leak in messages, WhatsApp statuses, and the like. I can't tiptoe around my feelings then. The realization and reality shatters into a million pieces, and I can no longer avoid feeling the void you've left in my heart. I love you, Tasoj. At least you always knew that. Whew. Grief is the theme. Grief is the theme. I'll read it again. Because it was a cold read, so I didn't, like, there's some parts I didn't emphasize. You know, when you're a writer, I mean, at least when you're a writer like me, I write the way I speak. So, I mean, obviously it's not going to be grammatically correct. The tense isn't always going to be sharp, whatever. It's not a crafted, it's never a piece of writing that I can go back to and do revisions. I write it in pen, I write it once, I mean it, and then I let go of it. And so sometimes when I read them out for the first time, it's like, oh wait, that's not how I wrote it or how I would say it in my head. So let me just do this one more time and maybe I will get the intention correctly. Dad, these last 2 years have been a wild haze, and I've been trying my very best to tiptoe around memories of you. I don't want to feel too hard for fear of not being able to get back from that pit of sadness. I miss you so much, especially on days like these, because everyone misses you and those feelings leak in messages or WhatsApp statuses and the like. I can't tiptoe around my feelings then. The realization and reality shatters into a million pieces, and I can no longer avoid feeling the void you've left in my heart. I love you, Dasoj. At least you always knew that. Yeah, it was so important for me. I guess it was a very it's weird. I had a similar conversation with my friend where I was like telling her, like, this was fresh after he had passed, like maybe the next year, like in the same year, 2021. I had a conversation with my friend saying, you know what, if I met my parents as people and not as my parents, I would still want them in my life. I would literally be friends with them in another life, or I would still have them in my life because they are such cool people, you know? I actually enjoyed the type of people that they are. I love the type of people that they are. Like, I would definitely be friends with them in another life because the type of people that they are is the type of people that I've surrounded myself with. And my friend found that so touching because she was like, you know, that's such a nice thing that you actually liked your dad as a person. Outside of him being your father, being your protector, caregiver, all of those things, you loved him as a person, as a person whose jokes you enjoy, who you troll, as just a regular schmegular. Because the thing that we forget, and it's a thing that I realized in my early 20s, that our parents are people. They are people first, unfortunately, and they were also learning to parent as you were learning to grow and you were learning to, find the world. They were also learning how to teach you, learning how to be someone's everything, basically. And with that, the same flaws that we have as people when we are discovering things is also, they are not exempt from being human. They also make mistakes, they fumble. I mean, obviously the reaction is very different. If they make mistakes, you apologize. But no, not even that. Like, they were the type of people that they are the type of people that I enjoy. And I think at least I am comforted by that thought that I know, at the very least, I know that my dad knew that I loved them. I loved him. There wasn't a time where I feel like he didn't know that he's loved by his children, that his children think that he is everything to them. No. Even through the raucous teenage years, the raging teens, and the raging 20s in terms of age, I gave my parents a hard time. especially my mom, because I actually like my parents divorced, so I lived with my mom, or primarily my mom, from 14. So my mom got the brunt of my raging teens and my raging 20s, to the point where we are extremely close now. Like, she's my bestest friend. She's my bestest friend. And I also feel like the divorce softened her in some way. Like, you have these rules that you have made for yourself, and the way that you want to raise your kids, and the way that you want to be as a parent. But guys, life will soften you. Life will be so hard that you have no other choice but to, surrender to it and become soft because of it. And so with my mom, I felt like, man, I was chopping her. I was giving her a lot of trouble, that now that I'm grown and she's grown, we have come back to each other in such a beautiful and, wholesome way, that she's so soft for me and I'm so soft for her. Like, I would fight a bull for my mom. And so with my dad, he also got the brunt of that. But I mean, my mom felt it more. But my dad also, there are things where, as a teen, I didn't understand, things that I internalized that I'm still dealing with right now, in terms of coping with how I see love, how I show love, how I receive love, and when I should receive love, and all of those things. And so when I growing growing up, I had some resentment. Like, I had resentment towards him, but get like in my 20s, like even up until a couple of days before he died, there was this profound, like, it's actually so profound, this understanding that I had of the type of person that he was, the type of choices that he was faced with, the type of choices that he made, and, you know, forgiving being open and healing from that. He was my light, man. He was such a light, and I'm so glad that our relationship as father and daughter had come to a point where it was just, obviously he'll still be a parent and still, what is the discipline verbally, because you can't discipline any other way. But man, there was this profound understanding that we had of each other. Like, I would call him out on certain things, on his behavior, how he would, if he said something sideways to my sister, I would like put him to the side and say, Dad, it wasn't nice what you said to my sister, and you need to apologize. Give her money to say sorry. But I think the way that you said that, although your intention was pure, like, your intention wasn't malicious, the way that it came out, or how it was perceived, and the action of it didn't come out right, and so you need to apologize. And we'd have like big conversations, and this is big conversations with me as like a 22-year-old, a 23-year-old. Not saying that age matters, but I would speak to my dad about therapy. I would speak to my dad about why don't we why do people not speak about the elephant in the room? Why do people not confront things? And he'd give me his perspective, and we'd like, the best parts, the very, very best memory that I have of my dad was when I was with him. It was him, me, and my sister. We were at a buffet restaurant. He just decided, he was like this. He'd like, oh, let's go out, let's do something together. We'd go on like road trips, just the three of us, or just the two of us, or just him and my other sister. Like, we'd go on a drive, just like a scenic drive. I am from Cape Town, so Cape Town is a beautiful city. So we'd go on a scenic drive, look at the mountains, the ocean. Like, he was very big on quality time in that sense. And so this memory is of me, him, and my sister. We at this buffet restaurant because he wanted to do something with us. And during our time there, I'd just gotten Vogue 20 questions, ask these 20 questions and you fall in love with this person. So I was like really fascinated at how do 20 questions make you fall in love with someone. And so I did it with my dad. Me and my sister did it with my dad. You're like, okay, we're gonna ask you 20 questions, and by the end of the 20 questions, we'll be in love with you. Guys, that 20 question, obviously I've always been in love with him. I loved my dad. But that moment made me see him outside of the dad role. I saw him as a 16-year-old or an 18-year-old who was working on ships. I didn't even know that. Like, all of these things that don't come up in conversation, like, casually. Like, it's sometimes triggered by something or probed in some other way. I learned so much about him. I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is so cool. Damn, this guy is so cool. And there, I was like, wow. We need to ask our parents questions about the life they had before us, guys. Because it was a large life. It was a large life. Not to say that the life is smaller with us in it, but the life was there. The stories, the memories. I don't know, for me, coming from a black family, it isn't like, gosh, like having that information is not always accessible, and sometimes it's hard to get that side out of our parents. But gosh, you need to ask parents questions, like proper questions on who they were and who they are, because like their past life is exactly their present life but in a different form. It's like in a different font, or no, not even, it's the same font but in a different typeset. So it's like a bold or italics or whatever, but it's still the same font, it's still the same person, just with a different execution of who they are. And so it's my sister messaged me and my mom saying that, we should do the same 20 questions for mommy when I'm home again. And I was like, that is such a beautiful idea, because that day will forever be etched in my heart. I will never forget that day. Even though I don't remember all of the answers clearly and exactly, I remember the feeling associated with that moment. And that is irreplaceable. Irreplaceable. So if you still have a dad, give him a hug. If you still have a mom, give her a hug. Even if you don't, speak to them and say thank you in your heart, because it's not easy being a parent. It's not easy being a parent. I'm a certified auntie. I've got nibblings. My nibblings are my favorite little people. I'm absolutely terrified of being their aunt, because they are so impressionable. Guys, kids are sponges. And for me, as an overthinker, sometimes I think, oh my gosh, how is this going to translate to this kid who doesn't understand? And I think I only make it such a big thing because I'm not with them 24/7. I think once you they are your child, there's a groove that you get into. It's good to have aunties to be like, to pull you as a parent aside, to be like, hey, that wasn't nice what you said to your kid. Apologize, sobering them up, because once you're in the machine, once you're in the routine, once you're in the motion, it's really, 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 really difficult for parents, as parents, to see how sometimes your words can be translated or misunderstood. And so it's good to have an objective person, aka rich aunties, to call your ass out and be like, no, let the kid play, let this thing be. And grannies are also very big on that. Yeah, I can't believe, I couldn't imagine how it would be having a little minion that you have to shape and you have to kiss. And okay, obviously kisses and hugs and I could do that for life, but to shape. And I think there's a lot of guilt that is carried with parenting, and this is just pure observation as an auntie. There's a lot of guilt that is carried on parents, like the things that you think you've done to affect them to become a certain way, the things that you could have prevented to not make them a certain way, all those things. And if there's anything that I've learned from being a child and observing children as an adult, is these are little humans. They are not Yes, they are sponges, but they're little humans. If you can take the same grace that you have for yourself and apply it to them, you'll understand. But man, these things have got a mind of their own. They've got their own personalities, a very, very different personality. I asked my mom once, how was it like raising three daughters? Like, what's the vibe? And she's like, it was different each time. It was a new, there was no, like, there's a handbook for like the basics on when they do this, this is how you change it. There's like those, there's a general handbook on how to take care of children in general, to keep them alive. But each of them they're going to give you a new experience that you have not prepared for, and you just have to learn on the job. It's so fascinating. It's so extremely fascinating. So they are little humans. They are little personalities. They've got interests that they like. They have their own thoughts, their own behaviors, and you just gotta be like, sit down and understand, like, oh, okay, this is how you are. I don't need to change you into something that makes me feel comfortable. If this is who you are, let me embrace that in the best way I know how. But yes, this is spoken from a certified auntie, so I don't know if that's really the case inside the soup when you're actually doing the job of being a mom and a dad. Yeah. Wow, what a nice conversation. What a nice nostalgic conversation. You see, and this is the thing with Fumi. Or, I mean, today's letter was to my dad specifically. The thing about taking note, like just marking a certain moment in time and then leaving it. I was actually thinking about this on my way home, is in this day and age, we have, how can I say, we just have this very convenience mentality. We are very time bound. We are very much, if it doesn't happen right now, did it even happen? If a tree falls in the forest and you don't hear it, did it even fall? We're very much on like instant gratification, things that are happening in the now, and just striking while the iron is hot. Where that is a good thing. I mean, I think everything has got its flaws, but yeah, that is a good thing. But what that takes away is letting things simmer. Simmer. Sometimes you just need to leave the stove alone to do its thing, for the flavors to ferment, for the meat to tenderize, for the carrots to be, you need to close the stove top and let things simmer, and then when it's ready, you can open it and it'll be a beautiful meal. I think if we get a good idea, and this is something that I'm suffering with. You get a good idea as a creative person. Actually, not even just as a creative person, as anyone in general. You get a good idea, you need to act on it. That's what you tell us. If you need to act on it, or else this good idea is going to go to someone else, or someone else is going to think about it. And then when we act on it, we're like, okay, how can I monetize this? How can I make this a career? I mean, the state of our economy, I understand we need to get a buck in somewhere, somehow. But sometimes things are just better enjoyed, just created to be enjoyed, and created to be simmered, and created to just let it be. Because the chapter that I liked, or that I also liked from the Creative Act by Rick Rubin, was the distraction chapter. Like, let things be, let it simmer, like do other things, think about other things. You don't have to just sit on the problem, sit on the creative idea. Like, you can sometimes just let it breathe. Space is good. And I have that, I'm trying to practice that way. I'm just like, just let it simmer, man. I don't need to have the answers right now. I don't need to love it right now. I can just let it be. Because I have this, I astound myself, I shock myself, where I've created something. Let's say I've created a painting. So I've been getting into this craft world because I'm trying to beat loneliness as much as I can by giving myself as much serotonin as I can in little silly moments. And so I'm into crafts now. And when you are painting, I'm not a painter. I'm a creative person, but I'm not a painter. I know my skills aren't, it's a skill to paint, but it's also an expression to paint. And so in the process of like painting, you want it to look as close to finished and as close to perfect as possible. You want it to be beautiful. We consume so much beauty and so many beautiful things that the things that you create, you'd also want it to meet that level or that standard that you have, that your eyes have set. Like, and so we're in the process, it hurts. Oh my gosh, it hurts because I feel stupid. I'm like, oh, this isn't coming out right. Oh, this is so ugly. Oh, this is a mess. This is a fucking mess. Dude, let me tell you, a painting that I did. I mean, I don't even know if I should even call it a painting because painting makes it seem like this very grandiose thing. But this painting that I created, which at the time I can recall really not liking it, and I'm just doing it so that it's done. I opened it a couple of days ago. After not seeing it for 2 months, 2 or 3 months, I hadn't seen that painting. I opened it and it moved me to my core. And I was like, did I create it then for this version of me? Because when I created then, I was, my headspace was all over. You know, I was sad, I was lonely, etc., etc. But I didn't get why I was doing it. I didn't get the end product. But when I opened it again, months later, having going through grief again, fresh grief, I looked at that painting and I was like, oh my gosh, you are the most beautiful thing that I've ever seen. Oh, guys. And it wasn't beautiful in the technique that I used. It wasn't beautiful in like the picture that I painted or the face. There's no face. It was just A3. No. A5. A5 is the smallest one, right? An A5, if not smaller, page of red, black, green paint. I have little handprints in there, and purple. It is just at first glance it looks like chaos, but when I saw it, I was like, that is how I feel. And I was like, oh my gosh, is this why people make art? Is this why people make art? I was completely moved. And it got me thinking about, you know how people are like, they see a painting and it's like a stroke or whatever it is. And they're like, oh, this is the type of painting that I can do. Like, people are stupid. But they'll be like, oh, how can this be in a gallery? Oh, I could paint this with my eyes closed. That's not it. It's the intention behind it. And if you can feel that in whatever medium that it comes through or in whatever end result that it becomes, if you can feel the purpose and you can feel the emotion, you cannot recreate that, honey. You cannot recreate that. That painting needs to meet you where that painter was when they made it. I made that painting at a certain point of my life that when I saw it again, I was like, oh, I see me. Oh, I ate. Oh gosh, guys, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Art is beautiful. Creativity is beautiful. Writing is beautiful. Love is beautiful. It is drop dead gorgeous, and I want whatever I create to give that feeling to other people. Cause there are some moments, and it's just pure. I don't know. It's not chemistry, but it's just divine. It's just pure divinity where I'm like, I did that. Are you sure? I created that. I wrote that. Oh, damn. I have had moments where I astound myself. As I said, I shock myself. I'm like, the way that I think about myself, I'm not shit. And then there are moments where I'm like, oh, I am the shit. It's crazy. And it's so fun. Okay, I'm going to end this episode very, very soon. But just, again, just speaking on divinity, alignment, letting things simmer. And when it's time to do something, even though it is 6 years later, even though it is 2 months later, even though you started it, stopped, and then you're doing it again, when it's time, it will find you and you will do it. It doesn't matter how much space has been in between you starting and where you are right now. It What's for you will be for you. Halas, that is it. That's the end. What is for you will be for you. Okay, so yeah, just before I end, let me just say this. So I started this episode. I started episode 1 speaking about my vulnerability and the purpose of why I create. And this morning, it's so wild. It's so wild. A friend of mine, my colleague, she found me on TikTok, and she's like, okay, listen, I found you on TikTok, and I didn't want to be like a creep or like stalkerish, but I went down the rabbit hole of your videos. I went like to the very beginning, and my gosh, Saj, your vulnerability was so beautiful to witness. And I was like, I was watching each video and I could just feel the softness, and she did this. How I picture it is like she saw me as like a marshmallow that she just wanted to hold and hug and wanted someone to love this marshmallow because she's so real and so raw. And when she said that, I was like, what the heck? I just restarted a new venture, which I'm even scared to speak about or say out loud, that is about those vulnerabilities and being raw and real and authentic. And I have someone who sees me, someone who I feel like even if she didn't know me, obviously when you know someone at work as like a certain type of person, cool, sharp, but when you see them outside of work in whatever context, whether you're seeing them at the mall with their kids or you're seeing their work somewhere online, you interact with it differently because that is a different version that you haven't seen. And so for her to say that and for her to feel like so like to just take the moment out of her day, because sometimes we admire in silence as well as just people. We love something, sometimes we're too cool to comment, but we like it to know that, oh yeah, I really like this, but we don't actually admire and we share our admiration for things. Like if you see a really interesting thing that someone creates and you're like, oh my gosh, I really loved this video, or you hear something really fascinating and you're like, oh my gosh, thank you for this insight, so beautifully put. We don't do that. That's why I really respect commenters on social media, because it's so much to be seen in that sense, to be seen admiring something and quote unquote being a fan. But even being a fan has got negative connotations because it's like you're just a fan. But to outwardly admire something, admire someone for creating something and it resonating with you, and you telling that person, is bonkers. It's amazing. So for her to take time out of her morning, I came to work and she pulled me aside, she gave me such a big hug, and she's like, it's so beautiful, thank you. And I was like, oh my god, I am seen. And yeah, shout out to Rubina, you're a real one for that. I love you so much. That my heart exploded. Thank you so much. And so yeah, guys, I don't know. This episode went to many places. This is how my brain works. This is actually a conversation between me and a friend. This is how I have conversations. We talk about everything under the sun. We miss the point, we go back to the point, we do a couple of circles until we have an ending that says, number 1, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to my rambles. Thank you for realizing that writing is indeed love. Thank you for listening to these letters that have held me, and I have secretly used it as my superpower that I'm sharing with the world. I hope you get to create your own letters, get to feel your own vulnerabilities, be brave enough to be soft. Yeah, I will see you at the next one. I love you so much, and yeah, see you soon.